Hello, happy Thursday. How's it going? Are you ready? I'm ready. We have all the cameras going today. All right, so we're continuing on with my dream jammies. I wish I was making dream jammies for all of you, but you can make your own. Just gonna say. But I am really looking forward to having these finally done and photographed. I'm not sure how I'll photograph them yet, but all right. So make sure you can see me and hear me and let me know, because I like to make sure that you can see me and hear me first. And we'll get going. I almost have a finished December calendar, and I'm gonna have like a graphic that shows all the things we've been talking about making for our gift sewing week, so that you can kind of visualize what we're trying to do. So hi Terry. And I'm gonna make a couple patterns free for the Patreon subscribers as well. They won't be like elaborate patterns with the instructions written out and all that, but I'm just gonna have the pattern available, then you can join the stream and sew it. So it'll be a little simpler that way. Nice. All right, thanks for telling me. I can't see the chat. That's weird. I mean, I can see it, but there we go. I'll scroll it. There we go. I still can't get my chat to work, and they're trying to help me. They're puzzled too, so it's kind of funny. All right, let me move my mouse, and let me move a few things here so I can put my water safely away from my hands, you know. All right, so, oh, my thread color's wrong. Oh, that's right. I forgot. I was wondering why the spool of thread was here. I was like, why do I have an extra spool of thread? So let me change my thread color. So it's not that I discovered, but I kind of discovered another live sewing YouTuber. I was already following her, and I admit I'm kind of the worst when it comes to like watching other just YouTube channels in general. I more watch streams on Twitch, and I more watch streams about gaming. But I love like seeing, and I support all the other sewing and craft streamers out there, and so sometimes I'll check in and see what they're up to and check out their setup and see like get some ideas for that. And one of them reached out to me on Instagram and introduced herself yesterday, which was really awesome, and I totally recommend her channel. It's called Sew to Fit, just like it sounds, Sew to Fit, and she has a lot of videos up, and she streams live as well. I'm not sure about her schedule, but I think did she say she might go live tomorrow? I can't remember. But anyway, she sews on a Juki industrial as well. I'm not sure if it's the same thing. It looks really similar though. Yeah. Yeah, so that was really awesome. I love it when people are comfortable enough to like say hi, because there can be that element for folks where they feel insecure about saying hello or reaching out or whatever. And I don't feel that way. Yeah, awesome, Terry. That's awesome. You saw her too. And for those of you in the like New Zealand, Australia area, I saw someone from New Zealand in her chat. So it might have been that she streams at a better time for you folks as well. Because I know like Georgianne Archer would really love to join our lives, and the timing just doesn't work. Sorry. Oh, I'm not using this bobbin. It's almost done. Am I setting myself up to switch a bobbin quickly? All right, so we're going to be bouncing back and forth between the serger and the industrial today. I think in some ways I might be sewing these a little bit unconventionally for some folks, but I think I'm kind of excited. So at the last second, I decided to cut interfacing for my facings, and I used a woven. I'm sewing a knit top today, but I used a woven and I cut it on the bias. And it's because when I go to sew the buttons and buttonholes, because there are buttons and buttonholes, I want some stability, and I really don't need stretch in my front facings. So it'll be an experiment. You know me, I'm always willing to take one for the team, try something new. So, like I said, we're going to bounce between the serger and the straight stitch today. So I'm going to probably sew the main seams together with the serger. See if I need to reinforce them with a straight stitch. Hi, Carol. And then I'll bounce back to this for understitching because I'm going to kind of employ both techniques. So if you are sewing the Carolyn Pajama top, but you have the collar, I'm sorry I don't have the collar on this one. I have sewn it on camera before, and it is in the, like if you go to the website, the soso.live website, and you look for the project Carolyn Pajama top, you'll see links to the video on sewing the top. Hi, Julian. How's it going? Oh, it's evening where you are. It is morning here. I'm in California. What was the lady's name? I'm really sorry. I hope she's not watching and I got her name wrong, but I forgot to look at her name. I think it's Andrea or Andrea. And her YouTube is Sew to Fit. SEWTOFIT. And say hi to her if you guys pop in her stream. Maybe I'll see you there. That would be really fun. I think it's great because she probably sews completely different types of things and a completely different style, you know? It's good to have all those different perspectives and see what works for you. So, and she's really into the tech side, you guys, so she has me beat there. Like, I really want a professional setup, but it does give me a little bit of like, you know, nerves when I'm trying to set all that stuff. Ah, it's Berlin. Yeah, okay. There's a few folks from Germany in here, you'll find. I don't see any of them yet. Maybe they're lurking. I can't really see the viewers on YouTube. You can in Twitch, but you can't in YouTube. Oh, let me see. So I'm bouncing back and forth between my windows, my chat windows again, because I can't get that fixed. So my throat's already kind of dry. Uh-oh. It's probably the wet time of year, right? Okay, so this is what we're making. Just in case you haven't seen some of the other streams, I did modify this pattern, which is a very classic style pajama pattern with the piping on the edge and even on the cuff. I have sewn it just like that before. And I made mine without the collar. I'm still going to add the piping trim. Oh, it looks like I drew it around the pocket. Was that you, Beverly, saying it might get lost in there? Hi, Brown Sugar. Yeah, right, Terry. Yeah, like she has some issues with her voice, and she's been going through therapy for that. She sounds great to me, so I'm sure like that's another part of it. Hi, Pamela. Pamela, I just saw your Instagram. You do kids' clothes and stuff. So cute. And I saw Cinnamon's as well. She makes these really cool badges. I love it when I see the likes and I recognize some of you guys, and I'm like, oh, I don't follow that person yet. So yeah. All right, so this is what I'm doing. I'm not going to do the trim on the sleeve only because I'm not going to push the whole knit thing because I'm using a woven trim. I'm not breaking rules, but I'm not following the rules either. So. All right, so what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to do the pocket, actually. Let's just get that guy out of the way. So I have all my facings over here in a nice, big, tangled mess. Oh, wait, there's my pocket. There's my pocket. We fussy cut. And then I have my back. We're going to move the facings. We've got our binding here, which is the trim. And I have the sleeves. So my order of operations on this is to put the pocket on, shoulders, sleeves to body. I'm going to do it that way because I know you guys like doing that way. Yeah, that's right, Megan. And underarm. Then I'm going to do the facings to the body because I'm going to sew and clean, finish the shoulders on the facings, the inner facings and the outer facings, and then I'm going to clean finish the center front edge, and then I'm going to serge it to the body and then top stitch it down with the trim. Yeah, right, Pamela? I know, kids' clothes so satisfyingly quick, right? So let's see. I probably didn't cut enough of this, you guys. I don't think I have enough to go around the pocket perimeter. Oh, I really want to pin I forgot to put my label on the kids' things I sent to Hearts. Not a big deal. Where's my pens? Oh, they're right here. Right here. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. I'm kind of tempted to use a piece of this from the bigger length because if I use a little piece from this little short one, I may end up needing that, and you know, that's too many seams. So we'll just put that aside. All right. Oh my gosh, look at that. So much for being so fussy. This literally popped into my head this morning when I was sitting in bed. I remember thinking about, I came across this big slice in the fabric. I remember I said something about it, and I was like, oh, look at that. And I thought I pushed that one aside. Well, darn it. I mean, I could put it to the inside. Oh, let me just cut it out. Fabric's right behind me. Let's see. It did, Megan, but I thought I was still away from it. I could, Beverly, but I'm not going to use the fusible interfacing on these because you know how that stuff is. I think I'm just going to cut it out again. I may even be able to get, look at that. Look at that. It's right there on the edge. I'm going to get the same exact piece. Wow. Ooh, can I get it closer to the... It's like right in the middle of this piece, but all for the glory, right? that was kind of lucky, right? All right, so let's get that out of the way because I really don't have any of that to spare. We all know that, don't we? Yeah. All right. Let's turn this around. Dang. Oops. Let's see here. I don't know if you guys saw that I threw together this, not my best stop motion yesterday of the things we cut out. And I had taken all the pictures, and even those weren't that great. But I was still just kind of like, my friend asked me how I do stop motions, and then it kind of put it in my head that I hadn't done one in a while, and I thought, oh, this will be fun. And I took all the pictures, and then I couldn't use them. And when you take pictures for stop motion, you take, like 300 pictures, and I do it really quick. What caused that cut? Oh, it was just when I cut out the fabric. I think that was from like the shoulder, And at the very last second, I was like, because I did that last one so hurriedly, I didn't really have it planned what I wanted. And so I cut out a little moth and then put it on there. And then I just wanted to sit there and cut out all the moths and do, like a little, wouldn't that be awesome? Maybe I'll still do it. Yeah, maybe I'll still do it. It'll be satisfying. Okay, I'm going to, let's see, let's clean finish my, is that what I'm going to do? No, I don't know if I'm going to. I could clean finish my edges, but I need my trim in here. And we're going to turn back those edges. Anyone know what the seam allowance is? Well, yeah, it definitely, I love doing those. Yeah, my friend said the same thing, and I said, actually, one of the ones I really liked was when I was making the jeans I'm wearing the Mountain View pull-on jeans. And I remember when we sewed those, I used a fox print fabric for my hand pockets as the lining. And then I was trying to decide what to stitch on the back pocket, which I think I ended up stitching a fox on these, right? But that I ended up making a little stop motion, and it's actually pinned at the top of the Facebook page. And it I cut out the little foxes of the lining, the fabric, And it just happened that those foxes, whoever illustrated that fabric, I think it's a Cloud 9 fabric, it's really cute, it made them look animated in my stop motion. And I was like, wow, I feel so smart right now, you know? It was just really lucky. All right, so I'm pretty sure these seams are going to be kind of big seam allowances. Oh, wait. We just did these pants. What is the seam allowance? I really hate when I have to struggle to find the seam allowance. It doesn't even have it right there. I want it highlighted. Right there. Okay, 5/8. This is what I'm talking about. Thank you, closet case. All right, 5/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to trim off my little piece here. All right, we ready? Okay, I'm going to do this right sides together. I did all this work on matching the print, but the little edging is going to interrupt it. So I'm going to see where my 5/8 inch seam allowance is in respect to my trim. And that'll leave like a little tiny bit poking out, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want. How's the lighting for you guys? It looks a little dark for me in person. So we're just going to put this together. This isn't a spot that, you know, stretches due to wear and movement. So it's not that critical that I'm sewing this with my single needle machine. Oh, but I am going to serge that. So then there's my trim right there. So let me serge this. Let's actually do a lot of serging all at once. So I'll just let this pile up so we're not flipping back and forth, you know, with the cameras a lot. All right, let's do, oh, actually, I think we're going to go right to it. I really want to attach my pocket, so we're going to switch. Sorry. There we go. I still think, yeah, you can see me in the camera. It just works. All right, so I'm going to top stitch this down. I'm going to release the pressure of my presser foot, actually. Knits really get thick quick. I need to get warmed up here. I feel a little like cold in my sewing ability here. All right, let's find the front that I pinned my pocket on. And we will attach our pocket first before we get to the rest of the project. Now you could, if you're doing this in knit, you could serge around the edge, but there's no reason to do that. You know, like you don't do it with wovens either. It just feels weird to put raw knit on there sometimes. So I like to line up my pocket, center it between the marked dots of where you're going to put it. And I usually go a little above because I'm used to drill holes. And then I just pin my pocket kind of in the middle so I don't have to pick up my pins at all. Like that. And then I'm gonna sew this starting from the top. I'm gonna turn it under. I'm gonna go up to the top, kind of in about 2 stitches, over the top and then down. That's how I always do my pockets. Alright, so this isn't a rounded pocket, so it's not too hard to do your corners and things. You just want to make sure your pocket's as symmetrical as possible. And with knits, it can grow a little bit and kind of, you know, give you a little trouble. Hi, Katie. How's it going? Happy Thursday. So I'm just looking at this and I'm trying to get this as square as possible. Some of the tricks you can employ with trying to get your pocket to be nice and even is you can pre-stitch on the seam line and then turn it under on that. Kind of helps give you like a guide. Let's put this right about here. I'm like pinning into that little rubber bumper there. That's never happened. So now this looks like I'm a little crooked. Can you see that? Am I? Am I crooked? Let's see. I'm gonna pin my pocket. Look at this. I feel like I might be a little crooked. Let's see, how can I fake it? Let's see. Now I'm gonna pin this in a few spots as if it's sewn. It must be painful for those of you to watch me sew sometimes and be like, why doesn't she just pin it? I don't know. I overestimate my ability sometimes. It's the darn truth. All right, so if that was there, let's see. This would definitely be the kind of step I would get a comment on YouTube by someone and they would say, you really should have pinned that. Hindsight, right, folks? I'm going for like a parallel line to this. Like I know this isn't a perfectly straight line, but it's pretty good. Like I was pretty, you know. It's not curving away from the center front quite yet, so I can't really rely on that kind of excuse, you know. Oh, really, Megan? That's cute. Oh. You need, do you have one of those apple core peeler slicer thingies? You do, Terry? Do you like it better? I feel like this looks pretty good. Can you see you might not be able to notice, like what my knit's doing is it's kind of doing this little thing like this. It's going like this as I sew, and that's why I was releasing the pressure of my presser foot. This is such a great knit. It's from Spoonflower, but it is it's pretty thick considering, you know, well, I don't know what I'm about to say with the considering. You can see it right there. You see the little waviness. That's going to calm down once it's been sewn for a bit, ironed, worn, all that, washed. It'll be fine. All right, so I'm going to mimic what I did on the other side now by going up to the top here, over, and then down. I can definitely tell, mainly because of the print, when it stretches a little bit. It's kind of a nice indication. Let me get rid of this pin before I lose it in the moths. I used to have an apple orchard, Megan, and I really liked having that apple core peeler slicer and Midjiggy. Yeah, pins are great. Like I wasn't very good about that little start spot right there. I might actually remove this right here and just change the angle just at the very end here. Like this. To be more right on point with the spot right here, like I did right there. Since it's ending on that dark fabric, it's a little more obvious, but I just pulled it in a little too, didn't I? Stop fiddling with it. That's my pocket. So I did decrease the height of this little cuff by a 1/2 inch and then raise the bottom of my pocket just for the proportions of this cuff in relation to the pocket. Otherwise it's way down here and it just looks a little, I don't know, it just doesn't, I don't really like the proportion of it. I'm going to let this go. I know that little bump is kind of a bummer, but I hate start and stops in the middle of my work more. All right, so now we're going to put our shoulders together and the sleeves to the body. And then the underarm. And then we're going to do the facing shoulders as well, all with the serger, and then we're going to come back here. So yeah, so when I had my orchard, my favorite thing was making dried apples. I think I mentioned this to you guys. And I had that peeler core slicer thingy. And if you just sit there and spend a few minutes like setting it up and practicing, that thing, I could do a whole 5-gallon bucket of apples in an hour. So even if you don't use it for the coring part, but it happens. Oh, it slices them too, Megan. It peels it, cores it, and slices it. So if you don't need it sliced, then you could just get the core, which is really nice. That's awesome. I like apple pie. We don't know what we're doing for Thanksgiving yet. I feel like I'm the only person that doesn't have a plan yet, and I probably should. My parents are going to see my sister and her family, and so I don't really need to have a, like she usually would host Thanksgiving. Why do I feel like I'm missing a facing here? Because I am missing a facing. That's what's going on. Oh, I have 3 right here. All right. So I actually just want to look at which moths I want on my facings right now. I know, it's a little picky. But some of these moths are so big, I don't want them really to like steal the show. All right, so that one works for me. I don't care about the back. There's the back. Put you over there. So, you know, if I did this one, that would be kind of interesting. Look, I'd have 2 facings, but they would overlap like this. It would look like an upside down and a right side up moth. So maybe I don't want that. What's the other one look like? What is this it? Oh, okay. I thought I was going crazy for a second there. Like that. And then what's my other front look like? I know that looks probably really busy to you guys, but I would rather it blend in. But see, look at all these big moths right here, and they're all stacking up, you know? Oh, yours doesn't slice. Do you need it to? I mean, slicing's pretty easy. Once it's peeled and cored, the slicing's the fun part. Let's look at the other facings I have. I have these 2 here. Same thing, that big guy's there. Let's see what we think. Oh yeah, so this one would sew like that. So these are going to be my inside facings, and these are going to be my outer facings. That's just how it is. So I'm going to lay my interfacing, which isn't interfacing. It is just cotton poplin that I cut on the bias. I just want to add a little more stability for the area that I am going to be sewing my buttons and buttonholes on. So I just really need these to be on for my shoulder seams. That's why I wanted to figure that out. And I'll also know now which ones I picked for my outer because I've already matched up my facings, interfacing to it. All right, so we have these 2. And then we have this one right here. All right, we're ready. Unthreaded my needle. You ready? Okay, this is the back, the front, the sleeves. Right, Beverly? I'm thinking like because I didn't match it, I kind of want it to be like very not matched, if that makes sense, you know? Let's see, how's this looking? Can I do this? That work for you guys? I know it's a little sideways, isn't it? All right, so let's do these and get these out of the way because they're kind of a mess. I'm just gonna put my shoulders, and even if you're sewing this with woven, I always like to stress, especially with your shoulders and things like this, these facings, you want to line them up on the seam line, so at the 5/8 inch mark down there, not the edges here on the seam line. It's kind of hard to see with my interfacing kind of getting in the way there, and the angle is kind of subtle. Granted, I don't think the other pattern has these. It's a little different. I have to like sew like this. I have to trim a little bit off. All right. And that after I make these, I still need to make my other set, the floral that I already cut out. That's a lot of layers right here. I'm more concerned about the knit. Alright, so we have our facings. It's your Zen times. Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. I actually didn't mind it. I was just had to do it so much, you know, that then I got a little bit like, alright, I'm basically doing this for me. I'm the one who wants the dried apples. So, no one was helping me. You know what I mean? Come on. I only have the 3 thread on, so I'm definitely going to have to sew this with my regular machine as well. I could put the 4th thread on, but I don't actually mind resewing it with that machine. Alright, so now we have our inside facings. So I'm doing an exposed facing, and now let's do our shoulders. These are the sleeves. So we have our shoulders. This fabric is kind of crazy, isn't it? Alright, so we've got our shoulders here. I'm going to line up on that seam line down there. And that's where your needle goes on your serger. Having to trim off like a fat 1/8 of an inch. Oh yeah, homemade applesauce. That's like the easiest way to use apples. And then I sometimes would turn it into apple butter. It's the easiest way to make apples, like use your apples from an orchard, but only if you're okay with your applesauce being kind of chunky. And a lot of kids don't like it that way. So then if you want to make it like it's store-bought, then you're kind of back in the camp of doing something that takes a while. And then you haven't really like saved yourself any time. But I would make apple butter. I would freeze whole apple pies. And then just, you know, if I needed a potluck dish, pull it out, pop it in the oven, and then go to my friend's house, you know. All right, so this is my back sleeve right here. And I have the correct one. Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna sew my sleeve on. Normally, I'm a big fan of setting your sleeve on, which would mean I would do the shoulders and the side seams and the underarm of the sleeve, and then I would put the sleeve on. With knits, you can be a little bit more loose on that. Where's my cap notch? Did I skip that, you guys? I did, didn't I? Was it there? I don't remember. I'm trying to see. There's no E's in this, right? It was too long ago that I made that pattern. And this is so awkward to sew at this angle. I'm pushing my seam towards the back. All right, let's see how I'm doing. I'm a little nervous. No problem, except for this weird angle that I'm sewing at. The best use of apples, though, is apple juice, but a lot of people don't have a apple press. Oof, I use a lot of apples for that. And then everybody I knew made hard cider, which was fine, but you could definitely have enough of that, too. All right, here's my other sleeve. Is there actually butter and apple butter? No, I don't think so. It's just like making, like, instead of making, you know, like you can make jelly or jam with almost all fruits, right? So it's just the version of making a jam out of your apple, and it gets really thick. And it turns a really dark color. It's so amazing on like buttered toast. Oh my God. It's life-changing. So amazing. Trying to make sure I don't catch any of my garment under there. I'm getting kind of excited about the gift sewing week that we're going to do. I hope a lot of you are going to participate. And I'm trying to keep it easy because preparing that many things like on my end is going to be a little bit of work. But I also want it to be easy for you guys to participate as well. And I think the most patterns we can find that are easily readily available, that are either free or we already have in our stash, will be like the most chance of success of getting people to do it. Oh, apple sangria. What? Yes, we are, Carol. Hearts heard us and they sent it to us, and then Decades of Style sent me the pattern as well. So that was nice. They sent some really cute fabric for it too. Now I'm doing the side seam, and it'll go straight through the underarm seam of the sleeve here, which I'm pushing towards the sleeve. And when I get to this juncture, because my fabric is a little bit thick, I'm going to split the difference with these seam allowances so that the juncture lines up really nicely, because they'll kind of seat against each other, and it'll reduce the bulk. I really missed my thumbnail. It's a tool. If you're doing the woven and you set your sleeve in like this, I would suggest putting your seam here, both of them towards the sleeve, if you can. Yeah, I also have a really exciting announcement to tell you guys too, but I'm waiting until it gets a little further in the process, but it's amazing. I'm still pretty shocked by it. Dang it. I'm trimming. I'm a little all over the place. All right, so we have our underarm seam there. Let's do our other one now, and then we can go back to the other machine. You could sew this 100% on the serger except for the pocket application, I'm pretty sure. Even my facings to the body would work, but I'm not going to do it that way. Actually, I am going to do it that way. That's funny. I'm not going to do the edge that way. Oh, you know, the other YouTuber I've been seeing a lot of is Dueling Designs. Have you guys heard of her? You guys really clued into that, didn't you? Sorry. Oh, you bought it? Awesome! Oh, the Magnolia. Oh gosh, Beverly, that would be really fun. It's not that. It's better. Better in my opinion. That would be really fun. I would love to be, whoa. I'd love to be like a collaborator. In a way. Wait, I shouldn't say it that way because I feel like that wouldn't be hard to do. I could collaborate with a few great companies, you know. I think like there's a lot of great sewists out there collaborating with people like Minerva.com and right, you know, like places like that. I could probably do that. I'm not going to write blog posts though. Why is my underarm a little bit funny there? So when I've applied to do things like that in the past, I get turned down, and I think it's partly that, that I'm not a blogger. So, but I'm not going to ask. It's like they probably get like hundreds of people applying for those things. Minerva seems like it's pretty welcoming of a lot of collaborators, because I see like Siobhan, she collaborates with them now. Maybe collaborate's not the right word I'm looking for, but like I would love, like a dream for me would be like, well, I actually did have a dream job and a position for it came up, and ooh, I got snubbed big time for it, so that stung a little bit. That happened in September. It's pretty sad. And but like someone like Spoonflower, I have been Spoonflowers, like I've been championing Spoonflower since like when they came out. Like I loved, and then Sprout Patterns came out. Oh my gosh, you guys. But they have so many really great, awesome people doing those things already. So I just got to forge my own path. Figure out what I'm going to do, you know? Do tell us the story. No, I'm not going to. Maybe someday. I'm kind of waiting to see who they hired because honestly, I'm hoping they hired someone of color. I think that would be the best choice because I feel like for the position that it is and some of my beliefs, I feel like that would take the sting out of it 100%. Because it's the first time I feel like I got discriminated against for my age, because it certainly wasn't my skills. And that was like, wow, okay. I don't know though. You just never know, right? You can't really ask. All right, so now we have a jammy top. I can try it on now without the facings on the front. So it's going to be like shy. I love this fabric, but it just seems kind of crazy. So now I just need my facings. Oh, it's so cozy. I'm so excited. Yes, I know, Megan. It really bugged me. You guys saw me on the day that it happened too, because I was really flustered that day. Remember that? And I was just like, you know, I'm one of those people. I think you guys might have an inkling about. It's straight DJ's not streetwear, right? Yeah, Beverly, maybe. I don't know. I feel like you guys have an inkling that I am a nice person, but at the same time, I'm one of those people, and I feel like it's like partly due to my. I don't believe in like the whole astrological sign in some ways, but in some things, those things really like they are very true and consistent. And I'm very much one of those people that's like, for the justice of it all, like I will almost pass out while I stick up for somebody, but I will totally stick up for somebody. You know what I mean? And so that kind of stuff, like when I see something like that, really gets to me, you know? It's kind of a bummer. But you know, on the other hand, like I stood up for myself in that case, and if I hadn't, I wouldn't have been able to move on as quickly. You know what I mean? I'm just to that point in my life where I'm like, screw it. I'm going to say what I think. And just, you know, call people on their BS, because I feel like there's not enough of that happening in the world. No matter what it is. And I'm not talking politics. I'm just talking about in general, you know, like human behavior. It's like, you know, it's okay to say, no, that's not okay, you know? All right. I don't want to be on this tangent. Let's think about my good news. My good news is I feel like it's really going to impact you guys as well in a way, because it's going to allow me to do some content I think you guys will really enjoy. So that was the first thing I thought of, because at first I was like, oh, I don't know about this. This is a lot. But the first thing I started thinking of, the things that I'll be able to show you guys, I'm pretty excited. So I just wanted to get a little further in the process just in case. So, all right. So here's my facing. All right. And so this is the one with the poplin inner facing that I cut on the bias. So it still has a little bit of stretch, but it'll still have that stability. I feel like I was either kind of genius for doing that or an idiot. So we'll see how that goes, right? You know? Yeah, I think you were there, Megan. I remember that. So I'm going to split my seam allowances, one towards the front, one towards the back. And I'm going to sew the outermost edge of this facing. Just going to finish it. And I'm actually fussing with it right now because I'm distracted. And because I'm trying also to decide how I'm going to do the hem, because this would be a good time for me to clean finish the hem. And I'm pretty sure that that works completely. So that's, I think, what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean finish the bottom of this hem right here. And what I mean by that is I'm going to sew across the bottom the hem allowance, like an inch up, come over, and then come down, or up, I should say, the center front edge, and then all the way around the body. I'm going to turn it, understitch it, and then I'm going to attach it to the front. All right, so let's start here. So I kind of have it all lined up here, but kind of not. So we're going to have to fiddle with this as we go. It's a long, curvy, kind of fiddly piece. This looks a lot like a baseball jersey to me. Like this, the style, you know. I'm not leaving, Beverly. No way. Are you kidding? I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. I promise. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna go across, and then I put, you know what? I'm gonna sew this from the other side because it'll be more stable from the poplin side. Let's try that. It'll keep the knit a little more behaved. You know what I mean? Now I have too many patterns underway, Beverly. I'm not going anywhere. All right, so what did I decide on over there for my hem allowance there? I think I did 3/4. Yep, so I'm going to come across 3/4 and then I'm going to pivot here at the center front. You can see my facing's already starting to relax because it's on the bias. Yeah, that's a little bit more tame. Let's line up this edge. I'm making my mom and I Christmas, well, not Christmas, but holiday kind of thematic t-shirts to wear in December. So I'm excited about that. I need to order that fabric actually today. So I'm gonna copy one of her knit pattern, kind of like what I did for Halloween. I was like, let me make you some holiday shirts. My mom always had shirts like that, like because she worked in an elementary school especially, and my mom's just really fun. She's just got a really great, fun and friendly personality, and you know, and like I said, she worked with kids as a school nurse. So she always had cute socks and everything. And so I know she doesn't have any of those things after the fire. So I was like, oh, let's get you back on some of those. I'm not one to wear seasonal things, but I don't mind something kind of festive. So, hi, PJ. Which YouTube thing, Megan? Are you talking about the kids thing? Because I've already sorted that out. They sent me a survey yesterday that I took. I found the questions really interesting. You can tell in a survey what kinds of things people complain about when they're asking about that in the survey. And I'm like, that doesn't bug me. You know what I mean? Like monetization came up a lot in it. Like, oh, I can't, like, is one, like the response a few times was, I can't make money on YouTube, you know? Or what was the other thing? Oh, I can't make the kind of content I want to make on YouTube, probably because of their like policies. But I don't have problems with that. Like, I don't expect I think like, I still haven't even made the minimum in ad revenue for them to like send it to my account. And the minimum's like $25. And that's been like 3 months. So I think I'm up to $7.36, you know? So I never really expected the ad revenue to impact me or to rely on it. And I don't want to make the kind of content those folks are kind of interested in making that they're talking about, because it's not like stuff I would ever go to YouTube for, because we're talking about stuff that I'm like, oh boy, no way. So I'm like, no, I want your channel. I want like YouTube to be easier to navigate. I want to customize my page, you know? That's the kind of stuff I want. But they don't have those kinds of questions. They're going... PJs, yeah, exactly. They're going hard on home farmers. Their kids can't be on the videos. What do you mean, Megan? I don't understand. I thought it was like relating to, like, my content is not directed at kids, so I kind of don't have to worry about any of it. And at first I was like, oh, well, it's kid friendly. I don't cuss or anything, you know. But then I was like, oh, it's not I'm not marketing towards kids. And I'm not, right? So, do you see that vibration? Where is it? It's like right. I need to find it because it really bugs me. This is where I started and I didn't really line that up right there. So I'm just gonna get rid of that because it's gonna show on the other side if I don't. So like a kid can't be in the background or something? I thought it had something to do with like, if you're marketing towards kids, they want to be able to regulate what you're telling kids, you know? Okay, I'm going to just trim all this off. And I'm going to trim on this corner because I'm going to be able to finish the hem in a kind of a nice way because I did this. All right, so now I'm going to turn it. Most of my construction today is going to be all centered around this dealy bob here, this facing, you know. So this is looking nice and stable still. I'm really liking that. I think I'm gonna clip this neck here. That 1/4 inch seam allowance looks a wee bit generous. Let's clip this. And now I'm going to understitch this whole edge here. Really? That's not how I interpreted it. Wow. That's so weird when there's like streamers who are 13. There's like pro streamers that are kids. How are they getting around it? I wonder how gamers would classify, because they're not technically marketing towards kids, but kids watch, right? I'm just trimming my neckline here. I'm clipping it, getting some of these junctures a little smoother, although that I kind of hacked that one, sorry. All right, so we have our edge trimmed there, and now I'm going to understitch everything towards the non-faced side, so it might give me a little trouble. The cover. I did, Beverly, yeah. His son was on the videos helping, losing all the rights for. Wow, how weird. Yeah, it's, you know, like, Beverly, it's like, I still have a little bit of give. Like, see. Just an idea. Thought I'd try it. I don't have any more interfacing meant for knit. And honestly, I didn't really want to fuse interfacing to this, especially if it wasn't designed for knits, because I felt like it might give me some trouble. And I just wanted a little bit more stability for my buttons and buttonholes, that's all. So I can't go all the way down to that corner. And so if you've ever understitched something and you're like, what the heck, I can't understitch this. I can't even get all the way to the corners. You don't have to, you just go as close as possible. And you really see that especially on undercollars, because if there's points on the undercollar, you can only get, you know, maybe a 1/2 inch away. That's great. I mean, that's actually pretty close. Or right up here at the center front, if you had a point right here, you would only be able to get so far, right? That's totally normal, and that's what they're expecting you to do. I'll be able to get all the way around mine because I have this little gentle curve. I didn't want the collar on this one because I do find the collar to be a little fussy, and I don't want to sleep in something with a collar. I probably wouldn't even have put the buttons and buttonholes on this, but that doesn't bug me so much. I actually think that what I'll do eventually is I'll sew it shut. So I don't even need, because I can pull this on over my head, right? So maybe. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's funny. I got recommended this video once. You know, it was like a Saturday morning. I was sitting in bed, and I don't actually sit on YouTube for very long. I just don't sit on anything like that for very long. There's plenty of things that can suck my time, and I don't want to do that because I feel like I get off topic of the things I'm interested in. You know, it's like that rabbit hole. We all know it. And so one day I was just kind of wanting to go down that, and there was this young YouTuber. You know, this, I don't know, she's probably in her early 20s. And it was all about how her ad revenue worked. And I watched it because I had just gotten monetized, and I was kind of curious about it. And she just laid it all bare. She showed how much her YouTube, like which videos, how much they made. It was pretty astounding how much those videos made. But it also really showed how she's creating content for that money. which is definitely different than how I'm creating my content. I'm creating the content I want to create, or that I think you guys want. I'm not creating the kind of content designed to get me the most ad revenue. Even if I did, you guys, I wouldn't get that kind of ad revenue. I'm not in that league, right? So it was really fascinating because I don't think I could use any of her tactics at all, but I was really interested just because I was like, well, what does it give her? You know, like, and also all of her channels, I mean, all of her videos, there was the house she's gonna buy with this money, you know, like she's at that level. So it was really interesting. So it is a pretty serious thing for some folks. They are very dependent upon that revenue, especially if they got in at the right time, you know. So all right, so I split my thicknesses here, which is going to be really nice on this outer edge right here. And I'm going to put a little pin. So now this is my facing, and you can see I understitched it so that it wants to pull it to the underside, which is nice because now it won't kind of creep to the right side. And we know how jammies can be. They can get kind of wonky, right? So the fabric I used on the bias, it is pre-washed. So I'm not worried about that doing something in the laundry, but it could. I feel like, you know, you could pre-wash things a few times to get all the shrinkage out. You can't get people talking with can't save videos. What does that mean? Oh, there's a kid's YouTube channel. Is that what they're doing then? They created a kid's YouTube channel? What the heck? How am I so in the dark about this? I guess it's just not something on my radar. So look at that. That looks really nice. It's looking really stabilized. Here's the underside. It's all lining up still. I thought honestly that this would be a little bit bigger. This piece would be a little bit bigger than my top, because sometimes when you understitch this piece, it does make it kind of go that way, but it's actually working out really nice. I think I'm gonna understitch this right here just to seal the deal. So this is one of those corners that you can only get so far on. Seal the deal, I shouldn't say that. I mean, like, I really want that to stay to the inside, so I'm just gonna help it along. So see, I'm getting as close as I can. I'm really pulling it. I'm also trying to keep this fabric straight down from this seam, like this, rather than at an angle, because see, like, it's at an angle right now. So I'm trying to do that so that it doesn't get distorted. It was only a couple inches, but it is going to make a difference. It makes this edge a little crisper, and it makes that hem stay to the inside more. You can see, like, you can't probably see it very much, but you see how it's a little thick right here, because it's all trying to be forced to the inside of this facing here. Ideally, your facing is a little bit smaller when you do stuff like this. Once you get put as a kid-friendly theme, you lose ads and chatting with followers, and you can't save the videos. Oh. Oh. Well, you know, there's been, like, the one thing I am on the loop on is there's been a huge shuffling of streamers on all the platforms. So some of you may have heard about these things because some of them probably made national news, because one of the biggest streamers in the world right now, Ninja, he went to a platform called Mixer. And so for a lot of us, none of us even knew that Mixer existed. I'd heard of it, but I'd never looked at it. And that's the one that's owned by Bill Gates, basically. So they probably offered him an incentive to switch from Twitch to Mixer. And now a few other really big streamers has too, like this, one of them being a 13-year-old gal that I really like. Her name's Ewok, and she's deaf and she's a Fortnite gamer. And she's so positive. I really love her energy. And then on conversely, there's been a couple of YouTubers go to Twitch, and a couple of Twitch people go to YouTube. So there's all this shuffling happening right now. And so I think it is putting kind of the squeeze and the hurt on a few of these platforms to kind of, they're either going to have to react to it because they're losing these big streamers that bring them money. And there's obviously bigger streamers in the world than gaming streamers, right? So, you know, that's just a small part of the streaming world, obviously, right? So I think there's a lot of dust that needs to settle with a lot of these things. And I'm small potatoes, so I'm kind of just seeing where the dust settles. See what happens. I don't see us changing from YouTube because you guys are all here, you know? All right, I'm going to understitch this one right here as well. It is interesting. I think if I had my choice and it would just work out no problem, I would probably give Vimeo a try because they started their own streaming service, and I really like Vimeo, and it's really professional, and like the interface is so clean and elegant. I really like it. But I've never heard of anybody streaming on there. I don't know how it works. So I have a Vimeo thing because that's where I upload all my private videos, like the cupcake videos there, the pincushion. Oh yeah, that makes sense. How do I wash this fabric? I wash it cold and then low dry. But this is cotton, so if you use low dry, it's not going to dry. So I'm pretty harsh on my clothes. I'll hit it on medium or high heat too. So, but I definitely wash a lot of my clothes on cold, and then a lot of the delicates just low dry for 20 minutes, which is enough, especially the synthetics. All right, so I just fussy pinned around the perimeter, but this is looking really nice. Look at how nice this facing looks. It looks really clean. If this were a woven, I would have edge stitched this. Because we faced the whole thing and it's getting caught in a seam, I'm not worried about it doing anything weird. It doesn't really need top stitching. So now this was going to get sewn into... Brooke, are you on Twitch? She just texted me. Hi! Hi, Brookie. Yeah, my chat integration isn't working. It hasn't been. She's over on Twitch. Are you by yourself? Let's see. You are. Yeah, sorry, Brookie. We're all on YouTube. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to put this trim here, and you know, maybe it would have been smart for me to put this trim inside this little seam right here, you know? So I could still do that. It means I have to kind of go back and forth when I get to the other side, you know? Or I can just fold it back like this, you know? We have a 5/8 inch seam allowance, so I'd have to like drop this all the way down there like that. We're outside the rules. Do I really, Megan? Interesting. I have 2 posting on YouTube about sewing today. Well, I updated the cover, so maybe the old. See, this is the thing about YouTube. It's such a freaking mystery how to do some of that stuff, you know? All right, so maybe I will tack this on. I'm not one to do stuff like that, like pre-tack it on there, but I think I'm going to so I can get rid of all my pins, because this is going to get serged to my bodice, or the body of the jammies. Yeah, I could. I mean, yesterday I know I did that, and I had to delete that one because I'm a noob. All right, so I'm going to leave this like flapping around on there because I think I would really like it to be enclosed in this little seam. I didn't think about that when I was doing that. So I'm going to come back to that in a second. So I'm going to sew this, I think at like a 1/2 inch right here. I'm just going to tack it on. This will make serging it really nice. I don't really want to pull this. Not like when I bind something, I gently pull it. It's hard, it's very stretchy. So my pins are on both sides too. Let's see if Brooke's still there on Twitch. Oops. Oh, this is what I want to get rid of. She's like, hi. She's been talking. We've been ignoring her. I've been really pleased. Some of you have renewed your Twitch Prime subscriptions. Thank you. And then there's been a few new ones as well. So thanks for that. I really appreciate that. And if you don't know what that is just like if you're on Twitch and you're an Amazon Prime member, Amazon gives you $5 for free. It doesn't cost you anything to give to any streamer of your choice. So if there's a streamer you want to support and they are an affiliate, they can accept your Twitch Prime, which is really awesome. Because that is a lot of money they're giving away for free. All right, so we're just going around this curve really gently. That's why I'm trying not to stretch it either. When I have this attached to the garment, I'll be top stitching it on the body so that this lays just like it is that you see it right now. I like the way this lays towards the facing. Is that how? Yeah, that's how I'm going to do it. So. Oh, that's a bummer, Megan. Yeah, no worries. Don't worry about it. I had to change like one of my main passwords a few months ago, and every time I go to use it, I have to remember the password, you know? I'm kind of away from my seam allowance right now. I need to get back on track. And I really love that it reminds me, you changed your password 3 months ago. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I did. Okay, so I'm getting a little short here, so let's get close to that and I'll seam it. Oh, it's okay. I'm trying to flatten it, make sure that even if this gets a little short or a little big, that it is where it wants to be so that it stays like that once it's sewn and washed. All right, where's my other little piece? So if anybody is, are you still here, Brooke? I know that you're still here. Dang, you said that. Oh, you must have just said that before. Indigo Dragonfly is a yarn dyer, and she is also a pattern designer for knitting patterns. But if anybody here is interested, she really wants to make sure her sizing is inclusive, and she's really great at designing knitting patterns for curvy gals. Like, she's really good at it. She's really nice person, and she's doing a survey right now, but she's looking for curvy gals in a certain category, certain size category. And if you go to her Instagram profile, she's going to have the survey open for a couple weeks, a couple more weeks, because she really wants a good sampling of it. What am I doing here? I'm going to trim this like this so I can piece together my binding. And if anybody was so inclined to help her out, she really needs more folks. And I think like she's looking for women in, I want to say, is it an over 60-inch bust or up to a 60-inch bust? I can't remember. All right. She's been an advocate for like curvy knitwear patterns for a while. She's not new to this whole conversation. All right, so this is where I'm getting down to the end here, and I kind of want to include it in my seam. So I feel like it's worth taking apart and getting it in there. You know? Indigo Dragonfly Fibers. There's someone very similarly named to her, but hers is Indigo Dragonfly. She's a Canadian yarn dyer. All right. I'm going to take out a little bit of my understitching here and my seam. I'm going to have to take out a lot of this, actually. Kind of a bummer. Sometimes you don't realize when you're kind of flying off the cuff what you're going to need. But now I'll know this for when I do my other one. This will summon Nancy at least when we get the seam ripper out. So is anyone going away for Thanksgiving week in the US? You guys doing anything special? I need to figure out something. We haven't even talked about it. I had like a friend a couple weeks ago going, oh, I better buy everything at the store before it sells out. And I was like, for what? I really like Thanksgiving because I like that it's just a day about hanging out and having a meal. You know, the premise of why we celebrate it definitely has evolved for me, but I do really like getting together over good food. All right, so I'm just gonna line this up here. Just trim it off right now, like that. And I'm gonna tack it there so it stays there. Put this right sides together. I had to take out more of my understitch so that I can get a nice flat seam there when I go to sew it in. I really didn't leave myself much room. But this will look the nicest. And it's as fussy as I was about to do anyway. Oh, is my needle about to come? No, it's not. Get rid of all these threads here. And now I can re-understitch. Now I gotta keep checking with Brooke. She's looking for over 60-inch bust. Okay, thanks, Brooke. You're going to LA? Nice. I didn't give myself enough room right here to put my understitch back in. I hope you're not driving during the crazy days to drive there. Be careful. So now see, I have this clean edge there. I don't really need to fix that right there. Okay, let's just do this one really quick. And now I know I probably started this way too low down here to get in there. I don't know about you, but I really hate taking out stitches on knits. Ooh, and I even backstitch. Who backstitches? Oh, I didn't backstitch. It's just the thread tail. All right. Almost. I don't like taking out understitching either. Ooh, it'll be probably kind of bad. You're right, Brooke. Oof. Hi, Rachel. How's it going? Rachel, I wanted to ask you a question. And this goes for anybody, but it's gonna be, well, soon I'm gonna need test sewers for a couple things, and I'm looking for people that are experienced with test sewing so that I get really good feedback and stuff, and people who can, you know, obviously follow through on the deadline and all that. I think it's going to be taking place in January. I hope. And then there's a gal that's going to help me coordinate it. So I thought I'd throw it out there. Might be kind of a can of worms to throw out there in the world. All right, so here we go. I'm just fixing my little tail here that I had forgotten about. So see, when you don't take out enough of your understitching, you see it's like pinched over. That's what that is. And you kind of need to take out further than what you need. Well, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say you need more. So you need to take out more of your understitching so that you have a nice flat spot to start your seam right here when you have to take things out like that. Because it's kind of hard to get in there without then sewing an accidental tuck. It does not look like the same tuck that you had from the understitching. Yeah, it's a heavy duty sewing project, I would say. I mean, like it's no problem for my home machine. I can sew it on there, but I just mean like it is like, you know, stiffener. It's an upright bag. Hi, Jan. How's it going? Let me put my understitching back in here. I almost just forgot about that. I also am going to be teaching my cupcake pie size pin cushion patterns locally in a couple weeks. Yeah, Pamela, I know. I'm excited. I'll let you guys know more when I have dates and stuff like that. But it is getting pretty close to that stage. I've never done this before, like with other folks involved and created patterns for, you know, so it's all kind of new to me. The pattern's going to be very professional, and all the instructions are very professional. Like, I don't do anything that's not. But it's going to be, like, nicer, much more than the pin cushions. Pin cushions were great. They're just, like, it's going to be a little nicer. All right, so here we go. We have our, it's a little pulled right there, and on these curves, it's going to happen. So now I'm going to attach this to the front with my serger. And so these kinds of curves are always they're kind of tricksy because you always think, oh, this is the exact same curve. This is like princess lines, right? If you've ever sewn princess lines, you're like, oh, no problem, right? That goes right together. But then you forget that really you're putting the opposite curve to the other curve as you're sewing it on. So it is a little bit of a surprise. Awesome, Rachel. Oh, nice, Jan. You are? Are you? So where do you normally live? Like, what state do you live in, Jan? All right, so remember how I finished this right here? So what I'm going to do, in fact, I'm probably going to pre-serge my hem, is I can wrap this around this facing, and then I'll turn it like this, and it'll be nice and clean right there. So now's my time to serge this. I'm not cover stitching. I think I mentioned that yesterday. So I'm gonna serge my body, and I'm gonna serge my sleeve hems, and then I'm gonna attach the facing. And dang, I'm almost done then. Virginia, right? Okay. It's like you're gonna be up early every day. Okay, wait, where am I going here? This one. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna serge my hem straight across, side seams towards the back. very awkward. Why is it so, oh, I know, I usually move this whole thing this way. That's what it is. So I just added the serging edge there. Now I'm going to do it with my sleeves. I'm going to turn my sleeves inside out to do them. It'll be easier on the serger to do the little curves, you know. Ah, nice. Congratulations. I'm going nice and slow so it doesn't get too loud or bounce around a lot, because I'm on the like back side of my sewing cabinet table. So this is my cabinet that my home machine sits inside of, and this is the back side of it. So this right here actually swings up like this and over the top of the machine to like if the machine's like recessed. And then the front of it, the door, is what holds this up, and then that can close. So then you can kind of put it all closed if you're not using it like at home or something. Oh, I got hung up there. So now I'm just going to trim this thread here, get ready for my setting it on. I'm going to sew it with the facing side up so I can see that line of stitching that I added. And remember how I sewed this 3/4 of an inch across? That's the amount I'm going to turn up like this. You can see, look at that. I didn't stay stitch that right there. And that knit's already trying to act up on me. But, what was I about to say? Oh shoot, well, you could do this hem treatment on like facings to skirts and things like that. I think I did this on the Dirndl Azara. No, I didn't. Wait, did I? Did we do this on the opium? I like this hem treatment. There's something else I was going to say. Oh, I know what it was. It's nice to like maybe start when you have something like kind of finicky like this. And I kind of get this little bit of bubbling here because I didn't make this facing specifically smaller to be on the back side. I just cut two. But when you have to start these kind of fussy things, sometimes it's good to like start it with your regular machine and then get to the serger so that you're not worried about everything else. Honestly, I kind of want to trim all this off, but maybe I'll take a chance with it. I may get a bubble in my interfacing right there. But this is pretty thick right here. I'm going to actually trim this off because I'm starting. I really want it to be accurate, so I'm going to trim that off now and then catch back up with it so that I'm not using the blade when I start off. Yeah, see, it's pretty thick for... My machine's been having a little bit of trouble with that, kind of getting going. So now I just pulled it a little bit with the thread tail. And now I'm going to sync up with what I trimmed off and we're good now. So really what I want to focus on is that I know where my stitching is, right? So I can see it. I don't want my needle to go much further past this little point on the other side. That's what I'm looking at right now. I do want to cover it up though, otherwise I'll have to remove it. So if I'm shy of this stitching, you'll see it on the right side, right? Because this is my seam right now. Does that make sense? No cuffs, Julianne. I did do the cuffs on the other one that I sewed though. So if you need that kind of visual, it does exist. I'm gonna clip this. That's my shoulder seam. We'll clip this one too. This is on the camera, right? Right, yeah, this is on the camera. I should have set this camera up better for you guys today. I forgot how much we'd be serging. Sorry. All right, so see, here's our curve, and you gotta get this spot to there. It'll do it though, it'll be fine. So I'm looking at this little stitch line here where I attached the trim. Let me see if I can see it. That stitch line right there. I can see it on this side. And I'm aiming for my needle to sew either just to the left of it or right on top of it. Right now, I'm actually a little far away from it. Not far, but I'm gonna get a little closer. So I'm to this curve now. Whew, I really need to pull this table this way, you guys. I'll pull you guys with me. You can see a little better there. Hi, Eileen. We miss you too. How are you doing? There is a pug hair. All right, so this is feeling pretty good right here. Here's my shoulder juncture here, and here's my curve. I kind of hold them separately. I don't like pinning things that go through the serger. It's kind of dicey when you do that type of thing. You never want to clip a pin with your blade. I like to keep them like separate like this so I can pivot this one around. I have a feeling I'm going to have to go back over this seam with my single needle because of my needle keeps going a little shy of this stitching. And that's okay, I was going to anyway. Need that up there. Everything about this is kind of awkward. Alright, we're at the shoulder juncture now. Try and get this. I'm going to clip this little bias piece a few times to lay flat. Like that. Oh, no, 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 no. No, you don't. See, I just don't know why my machine does that. It's been tuned up, new blade, all of it, the whole shebang, and it's doing that. All right, so here's my center back, and here's my center back right here. So this is my non-negotiable point right there. You're at Denny's. What did you get? Ah, nice, Eileen. This is a little bit trickier to do curve-wise than the other curve was. So let's pull this side underneath a little bit. Stop doing that. Definitely doing a little bit of, wouldn't call it easing, but on the underside I am kind of pushing this one a little bit to make sure I'm keeping it nice and relaxed so I don't stretch any of it, since it's not barely a fit, it's exactly the same size, right? And this side is much more fixed because I've sewn it a few times and added some wovens to it. So the bottom layer feels like it needs a little bit of easing because it's relaxing. See that? So that would be probably really would have been nice if I had pre-sewn that, or even put a line of stitching in there to stabilize it. That way it wouldn't be kind of relaxing because it's all loosey-goosey, whereas all of the other layers don't have that option anymore. Let's trim or clip this curve again. My scissors are getting a little dull, I know. I just really like them, so. That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen binder clips, hair clips. I feel like I saw that too. What kind of hair clips were they? I feel like I saw that too. Maybe it was on that Lauren Mormino. What's her last name? I'm definitely like, this curve, man. It's awkward. It's relaxed. It's like the bottom layer has been at the spa and the top layer, it's like before a massage, after a massage, you know? I'm trying to make sure all those little spots I clipped my binding, I don't want them to like fold in towards the seam. I hope that didn't happen. It can. I feel like I need a new serger and I don't want to get a new serger. This is a great serger. I'm very loyal. All right. I feel like I may have to go back and kind of touch up some of that. All right, so sometimes when I'm coming down on this style of hem treatment, when I'm coming down towards it, it can push it off a little bit. I want to make sure my fronts match, and I'm kind of too late to figure that out. I should have figured that out a while ago. Almost done. Why is this? Oh, okay. Why are you fighting me? I'm still not to the straight section, that's why. Go. Lift my presser foot up, stick it on top of that so it doesn't push it off. Oh, I didn't pre-trim this, so I may have a little bit of issue. Shoot, that was kind of a struggle. All right, let's see how I did. I'm a little nervous. Yeah, what clips were those? I can't even picture what kind of hair clips you would use now. Was it just like, it was like clippy clips, right? The kind you bend. Okay, wait. Let me catch up with you guys. Oh, tummy bug. That's the worst. All right. Let's see how I did. So see, that's what I was talking about. The stitching can show. I'm going to go over this with my... Oh, that's not a thread. That's the print. So it's nice and clean finished right here. And nice and wiggly as well. Looks pretty good on this side though. Looks good on the other side. Let's see, did I get this? Oh, I did. I can't believe I didn't get any tucks right here. All right, I'm pretty pleased with that. I don't see any areas of concern except that I'm going to now stitch this so that I'm more accurate. Kind of with the pincher thing on the end. I totally saw that, and now I can't even think of what they were, because I remember thinking, oh, right, you can use hair clips. The pincher thing on there. Oh, right, like a hairstylist uses. Yeah. I know what you mean. All right, I'm gonna take this little serging tail and include it in my sewing here. I'm just gonna single needle this and look for my areas right here, see where I need to include that. Now I could have just done this in the first place and then serged it. Would have been easier, right? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I find clover clips to be so expensive that I will get on the ground and look for one that I've dropped, you know? I keep forgetting to see what Brooke's saying. Oh, this is my watermelon. It's my it's my, you know, tribute to watermelon. I know what you're thinking, Brooke, though. Yeah, look at this right here. Yikes. Let's get that nicer. All right, back down here. I'm gonna put this tail up into the seam. There we go, and then I'll trim it down a little bit. Oh, see? All right, so now we have our clean finished hem with the facing. See, this one is the one I said can get pushed off, and it did a little bit, didn't it? But it looks really good. And now I'm gonna top stitch it down. I might not have to. See how it feels. Yeah. Yeah, Eileen. So true, man. Legos are no joke. How can that little thing hurt so badly? You know? This is looking cute. Oh, I forgot my label. It's right here. I can just top stitch it under there, but still. Where's that? I can't see that center thing now. This looks cute. What do you guys think? Look at the front. Let's see if my front, at least it's a curved front, so that if it's not perfectly the same length on the center front, it's not going to be a big deal. you know? Yeah, yeah. How I bet, Hamlet. Do you have a kitten? Is it a cat or a kitten? Brooke has a kitten. It's so cute. All right. My dogs got their bark box yesterday. And it was really funny. At Cricket's birthday, she got a box from my mom. And it was a shoebox, a brown shoebox that wasn't very big. And the dogs went crazy when she started opening this box. And I was like, what the heck? And I was like, oh, I just thought, oh, it smells like my mom's dog. I don't know what, but you know. And then I realized, oh, it looks just like a bark box, right? So then our bark box arrived yesterday. And bark box is just a subscription box for dogs that I kind of signed back up again now that we have Loki, because he goes through the toys and it's fun and whatever, right? And so they got a Thanksgiving meal. So they got a it looks like a leg, like a turkey leg, but it inside of it has this like a duck and it pulls out, so they love that. And I know this print is so cool. It's by Jada Fitch on Spoonflower. And then, but the thing I love that they got was this can of cranberry sauce. And so it's like a soft, stuffy, has a little lid, and the lid opens up. And inside is a hard, it's a big squeaker, huge squeaker, like this big, that's cranberry sauce colored. And it actually looks like cranberry sauce, but he can't get it out. So he's opened the lid and he can see inside. He's into it. And then, you know, their treats were very Thanksgiving oriented as well. They were excited. It was pretty cute. All right, so there we go. Not ideal. I really like it when I can include it, but whatever. Okay. I'll have her the hymns. It's kind of done. Oh, Megan, that's so cute. Right, Beverly? That's what I was thinking too. It looks just like envisioned. Do I put the top stitch on there or not is the question. Let's get rid of this though. I can't see that stitch right there. This is where I stopped. Let's get rid of as much of it as possible. This is why you want to make sure you actually get it all, so you're not doing this. Do I top stitch that down though? You know, like I don't really feel like it needs it. This is stout and thick enough that it feels well behaved, you know, but I could top stitch this all the way around. It's a little thick right there, isn't it? Oh, it's almost a year. That's totally a kitten still. All right, well, I'll think about it. I'll do the hem, because I can go right from the stitching into the hem and make it all one, and it looks so nice when you do that, you know? Look at how wiggly I am there. Sigh. Okay, let's get rid of this, though. This will bug me. This is something I'll see when I'm sitting in a chair, this little thread, and I'll pick at it. That's really what I look for in my clothes. What am I going to pick at when I'm sitting there wearing it? Air on the side of yes, top stitch. I know, I love top stitching. Aw, that's so cute. Okay. All right, so then we'll top stitch it. We'll go straight from the hem into it, you know? So I'll hem from the right side, and I'm gonna, since I'm gonna sew this hem on my single needle machine, I'm gonna stretch it as I sew. So it's gonna look kind of funny at first. I'm just gonna turn it up a little bit. Let's get these threads in here. And I'm going to do my start stop on the side seam right here. Wait, does this side seam have white? Kind of. I'll start right here in the white of this side seam. And then I'm going to go around and go up the top stitching and all the way around. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to get to the center front and pivot at the top stitching. Do that all the way around. I don't think so, Rachel. It's pretty stout. That's why I was like, I don't think it actually needs the top stitching. This is 2 layers of knit, and then I interfaced one of the top layer with poplin on the bias. Easy for you to say. You know that I like top stitching though it definitely doesn't take much to convince me. And it does look more polished, you know. This seam is already so stable that it doesn't really matter that we're sewing it down even though it's a knit, because it doesn't have much give there anyway. If you were sewing this on your home machine, I would definitely be using a ballpoint needle or any machine. Oh boy. Oh boy. How'd I miss that? I'm going to take it out at the beginning and the end so that it's really easy to find later on. How'd I miss this? We checked it. I'm not on my 100% sewing A game today, am I, guys? Okay. That's obvious so I can see it. Oh, what is that? Oh, thanks for following. I can't see the name. Pink hand. Oh right, Eileen. I've just learned that. Smart, looking for the white spot. What was I about to say? So while I'm stitching this, like, to keep it nice and even best I can, right? Because I actually saw someone have an issue with this recently. I look where I want to go, and I'm also like, I know my presser foot really well. I only have one other presser foot option for this machine, and it's not appropriate for this. It's what my machine considers a zipper foot, because I can't move my needle to the left or the right. So they just make the foot really narrow. I know that there are other feet for this machine probably, but oh, there's some stitching there too. Did you see that? Oh boy. Oh boy. So I'm actually centering this little foot right on top of this seam here. And it kind of wants to stay there. Sometimes your foot can push your sewing off of push your presser foot. How am I trying to say this? Sometimes because of the thicknesses, whatever you're aiming for and putting your presser foot on, the work can push your presser foot, right? And you're fighting it the whole time. And then that's when, if you're using a home machine especially, I would look for another foot in your stash and look at the bottom of them. Because there's usually grooves on the bottom to indicate what it's for. You know, like the buttonhole foot is very obvious. So I'm going to pivot at my hem there. And then look for something that doesn't fight you so much, you know. It doesn't even have to be what you're using the foot for. All right, so we know my hem's about 3/4 of an inch. And I am stretching it. I'm sewing this old school style before there were sergers. Before people had access to sergers. So yes, it'll look a little rippled at first, but then when it's washed and ironed, it'll be totally fine. And it will not ripple again. Maybe 20 years from now when it loses its elasticity. I have a magnet for my pincushion. That's why it stays there. Hopefully. I think I'm a little wider than I started. Uh-oh. Get rid of this tail now, and then I'm going to do my back stitch on the white. so it doesn't even show. It's almost invisible. See that? It's almost invisible. And then when you have your stitching, you know, from the front go right into it, you start noticing these kinds of details with your sewing because it just makes it look like, hey, how'd they do that, you know? Yeah, a piping foot, exactly. All right. I just need the hems on the sleeves. And I'm gonna cut down this tail a little bit. I'm gonna fold it to the inside. I kind of want a little bit wider of a hem. I could tell this was a little wide on me, and also I feel like when it's wider, it feels really good. This is not what you can see, look at my little flare right here. You see that? It's a little flare because that is the fold line of the hem right there, right? That's the taper so that it fits nice and it fits so much better. Look at that. Show you. If I follow the actual hem, I snagged my serger there, serging thread. It nestles in there nicely. You see that? Right? See, without, I'm not doing anything. It just like folds right there. I'm going to go against that and I'm going to fold a little bit more. So it's not going to nestle as nicely, but it'll be fine. It's pretty forgiving with the knit. My sleeves being shorter than longer is better on my jammies because if I wash dishes or something, and I'm less likely to get soaking wet sleeves. Again, I'm stretching it as I go. Oh, I did not get that in there, did I? I thought I got the tail in there, but I guess I forgot. It looks crooked because those moths. It's not. Where's my other one? All right, so it's just folded the same. It's gonna check that I'm folding the same amount. Do a tiny bit less. Let's put this in there this time really good. I also don't like to start stop at the beginning sometimes because you're going to start stop at the end. You can just do it once. You don't need to do it twice so that it does reduce the amount of like thread, you know, like sitting there on top of your work. Looks cleaner. When you're going in a circle. Like I'm gonna, you know, I'm meeting where I started. Oh, I'm already there. I only needed one back stitch. You're securing your first one with your last one. And see, then it's just less thread there. All right, where was that? Where was those funny spots on my neck that I needed to address? Crazy jammies. I have some here. This is the one I don't like right here. Let's get rid of this. Dang, we thought we fixed all this. See if I can grab it. There we go. Yes, I do try and get rid of as many threads as possible. Those things have a way of coming back. They're like zombies. All right. That probably makes my label look nicer now that we top stitched it. I could have done a better job. All right, I'm pretty happy though. They're jammies. They're crazy jammies. Ooh, they're so dark on the screen. I really like the way they look on the screen. Here's the sleeve. Here's my pants. So I made the pants out of a woven and the top out of a knit. I top stitched my, can you even see that? I top stitched my pockets down so I don't have to worry about them getting wrinkled in the laundry. They do have the trim on the cuff. So, wait, I just forgot your name. I know the first two letters. Is it Janine? It's not, is it? It's not. What was it? What was your name? What was your name? What was your name? She probably went to bed because it's getting late there. Oh my gosh, where is it? Ah, Julianne. So Julianne, if you wanted the tutorial on how to sew the edging to the cuff of the sleeve, I just did it on these pants and it's the same technique. If you're doing a woven, knit would be a little different. Knit, I would do it more like how I did it here at the center, right here, where I serged it on and top stitched it. Mainly because you don't typically take knits and clean finish them like this on the inside. They're too fiddly for that. It's just not something you do. It would be over sewing the knit. It would counteract the knit, which we're already doing right here. And it's just not typical, so. Oh, hi, Pink Candy. Brooke just let me know I had a question on Twitch. Thanks, Brooke. I stretched the hem as I sewed it because I didn't end up using what a lot of people do, which is a cover stitch or a zigzag stitch, because it's a knit, I want it to be stretchy still. Even though I did do a lot on this shirt to kind of, you know, it's not a typical knit shirt because I've got these sewn facings with buttons and buttonholes, but that's okay. I still have the benefit of the stretch on the rest of the garment. And so if you don't have a serger, I try to sew a lot of things here as if you don't have a serger because A, a lot of people don't, or B, maybe you don't like that look on your clothes. I did obviously do it on here, and if you don't have a serger, you can just zigzag this. So same with the hem. You could zigzag this edge first, and then if you just stretch it as you sew it, what you're preventing is these stitches popping later. Because see, now I can do this right now. And then the stitches won't pop later on, like pop meaning like break, when you go to put it on. And so that is one technique of sewing knits. It's kind of a tried and true old school way. Like if you were to look at like an old Threads magazine on sewing knits, that's how they would tell you how to do it. And they still reference that method. It works really great. I didn't have to worry about it on the pocket because the pocket's not in an area, like the pocket itself doesn't need to stretch. And you know, the garment itself is still really stretchy. I still have like the greater part of the fabric going around the body to allow the stretch that I need. They're not tight jammies, so I'm not really going to need stretch. I ended up cutting the exact same size that I sewed my woven one in. So, you know, it doesn't really need to be, I don't really need the stretch. It's just really for the cozy factor, if that helps you. So, hi, Vicky. How's it going? Yeah, I can show you how I'd place the buttons, Beverly, if you want. Yeah, so I rarely follow the button guide on a pattern because the size of your buttons is really what dictates the spacing. Because if you did really small buttons, you'd have to have them closer together. If you do really big buttons, they're further apart. So that, I don't know why people put those spacings, because they're rarely, unless they're, I know why they do it. It's because they usually tell you in the notions you need 6 buttons that are 5/8 of an inch, right? Or because they don't use line sizes, right? They just use the size of the button. So they base their button and buttonhole guide on the size buttons that they called for in the notions. And you can then use that guide and it'll work great. But a lot of times I use buttons I have. But I already know, I think, what buttons I'm going to use. I'm kind of running out of buttons, but I do have something in this bin smells weird. I actually think it's the vintage buttons I put on my purple vest. I'm thinking about using these basic, very basic tortoiseshell buttons. I think that or white would work. Because these little bins here all have not enough. My friend gave me these. I've wanted to use them for years. They could work, but they're kind of bright red. I don't have enough. Oh, these. How many do I have? I only have 4. And I don't want to do these because look, there's 6 buttonholes. And you guys know how lazy I am. Oh, these white ones could work, but they're kind of small. How are you, Vicky? These are all tack buttons. I can't quite see all my buttons in them. My friend Maria makes these. These are really cute. Those would be kind of cute on there. I'm going to save those for something special, though. I have these guys, but they're a little thick for my jammies and not as washable. Same with these wood ones. All right. These are what I'm going to do. So, let's do this on the iron table. If that works for you guys. Is this what I said? Yeah. Let's do this on the iron table. I hope you can hear me okay, though. Tell me if you guys can hear me okay over there. Oh, the autofocus is on. Let me turn that off as well. And I need a ruler. And I will totally show you how I mark my buttonholes. Is this? Nope. I'm just going to turn off the autofocus. You can hear great? Oh, awesome. Okay. And then my ruler, which is almost invisible, isn't it? I can use my tape measure. All right, so this will still be useful. I was going to do this anyway, Beverly. I don't know if I have a better... Oh, they're falling out. Wait. No. All right, so what I usually use is a cup. Where's my little cup? Where's my cup? Okay, these will work. So I use a little cup because I love these little cups I got, and I want an excuse to use them any chance I get. I usually put the buttons I'm going to do in there. I only need one to mark my buttonholes, but you need all of them to kind of eyeball the spacing, see what you're gonna like. So I lay my garment out. Lay my front down. Lay my left front down first. You think so, Megan? And then so this is a good time to make sure that, well, you should have already, but you would want to make sure your center fronts are the same length, right? And remember what your overlap is. So you're going to line up your center. So there was a notch here and there's a notch here. And so you're going to stack those up and make sure that you can feel that this distance is about the same all the way down, right? And I have a lot of guides here because I have all these lines here. So I'm going to go mostly with this being parallel to this line for me, right? And I'm going to make sure that I don't have that corner turned very nicely and it's bugging me. Okay, so we're going to leave it like that. And let me get some pins. I like to slip a ruler underneath like this, so I have a surface to pin against, okay? And this is how I set up. I usually pin this closed so that I don't lose my overlap. Just in a couple places. Oh, this is so thick. And that pin was dull. All right, so we're just gonna pin this shut right here. Hopefully that my pins are out of the way where my buttons are. All right, so here we go. And then I take a button and I kind of see how far away. You usually want this right on your center line, right there. Hi, Megan, how's it going? Megan, there's another Megan now. All right, so you have your center line here, and if you need to chalk it on there, go ahead. Lately, you guys, I feel like this chalk stays longer than when I wash it off, so I'm gonna be careful with it. So you want to find your line, and you can do things like pin on your line, and you know where your line is. You can, because I wouldn't put pins like this. It's just a little much, right? So what I usually do is I put a few buttons on here and just kind of figure out, like, what do I like, right? You usually want, like, say you're doing a button-up Oxford, you're gonna want one at the fullest part of your bust, because that right there is your fullest part of the stress point of where your shirt is overlapping. What's not good? So here we go. We have, I think, oh, this button has a flaw in it, so we're just gonna chuck that in the garbage. All right, so I think, like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5 buttons is plenty. So then I actually don't measure between them. I figure out the distance between my top button and my bottom button, as long as they're where I want them to be. Oh, you'd use larger buttons? You think so? I think these will work. All right, so here we have our top button, and actually what I really like is marking always the top of my button, right? So then you don't have to wonder where the center is. At least you know. It doesn't matter where, you just need to be consistent. So I'm going to measure the top of this button here, or mark the top of the button. So now I have this distance here, right? Which is 13 3/4. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons, but there's only 4 spaces in between, okay? We're only gonna need 1 button. So now it's 13 3/4 and 4 spaces, and so now I need to get a calculator. And I will figure that out. 13 3/4 divided by 4. And it's almost 3.5 inches. So it looks like it's 3 3/8 plus a 16th. So then you know from the top of this button to the top of the next button, it's 3 3/8 inches. Now I haven't figured out this yet, so I'm not worried about that. So 3 3/8 plus a 16th. And I put a pin in. So the trick for me always was remembering that it's the number of spaces that I needed to know. And it made it a lot easier to figure it out. So I'm just pinning the top of every button. Okay. This is really easy to make a little mistake, so definitely once you do it, kind of look at them. They look like I got it. Sometimes I'll get like 1 whole inch off, all right? So now we have the top of our buttons. So we're gonna put these pins in. Now I'm only marking this side because this is the buttonhole side. Now I can get rid of the other side of my garment and just get it out of the way like this, okay? Center my ruler under there. And now you're going to decide, you know, you want where your center line is, right? And so this is the center line. The center of where the button is about right here, right? Where was that notch at? I feel like it was like right here. So that's my center line right here. So now I know that like this is my center line, and this is my top of my button. And so I usually do not mark this center line from the edge on every button. I just do it in relation to the throat plate and the needle. Oh yeah, that's good to know, Eileen. I know these aren't very big. They're gonna nestle right in there, I think. Let me keep an eye on Twitch as well. All right, so I just learned that I always put my button the same distance from the edge in relation to my throat plate on my machine. So if my needle's here and this is lining up to the 5/8 inch line, I just always make sure that's how I start. That way I'm the most consistent I can be. Rather than marking it on here and it might be a little bit wiggly like that. And then I figure out my button length. So I really like, I've tried this lots of ways and I feel like there's better ways to mark your buttonholes than I do. But what I find works for me the most consistently is if I pin way off to the edge here so I do not remove my pins as I'm doing my buttonholes. So remember, like this right here I'm doing in relation to my throat plate, because I'm just going to line this up on a line on my throat plate, or even put a piece of washi tape or something like that so you know where this edge always is when it's under the needle under your machine, right? And so now I'm just going to go along and I actually just mark the top and the bottom of my buttonhole. Now there's they do this a little bit more scientifically in the garment industry, because they'll take into consideration the thickness of the button and that you might need a little bit of room to like push it through. Most buttons, if they're just like a regular old button like this, you can do as long as your hole is the same as the button, you're okay. Adding any more and then you have problems with your buttons unbuttoning themselves. So I just sit here and mark my buttons, my buttonholes right on the edge. And I do this right on the edge so that when I'm going, like coming down, my buttonhole machine does this. It goes on the left side, comes down, it goes over, back, and goes up. It does the top bar tack, then it comes down, and it does the bottom bar tack. So when I'm going up, it just does a stitch. And when I get to the top here, sometimes I can't see where the top is if I've chalked it or if I take the pin out, right? So I just leave this here and I watch my needle lining up with this pin. Snaps sound like, yeah, snaps would be a great idea. So this works great for like my machine because the window of where my buttonhole is being sewn is just too hard for me to see when I've gotten to the top or back down to the bottom of my buttonhole. You know what I mean? And like I said, I just do everything in relation to the top of the button and then this to the machine. And I just keep these pins right on the edge. And I just use one button to mark all my buttonholes. And then when I mark where I want to sew my buttons on, sometimes you can, if you're lucky, you can do this. You can line up your garment and then put his pin at the top of the buttonhole, not at the bottom, not in the middle. You want your button to be sewn at the top of the buttonhole. And that's because, so that is something to consider. I didn't think about that till just now. But when you're placing these buttons, make sure you consider the fact that the buttonhole, when it's buttoned, the buttonhole is going to rest on top of the stitches where you sewed the button on, right? So the buttonhole is going to shift down and rest right on top of that. So really, this is how my button's going to sit, like this. Not like this. And it's good to note that because of the alignment of your fronts. So that's how I do it, Beverly. I don't know if that was at all helpful or revolutionary, but that's what works with my machine. I just do something that makes really great sense in relation to my machine. I have these like pushed all the way to the edge. I'm going to push them like this for now until I get to the sewing machine. I do that because I'm used to, when I'm sewing my buttonhole, I need the whole pin out of the way, but I don't want it to be out of the garment quite yet, right? I need it. So some of you may have a machine that you do one buttonhole and then you just press repeat and it does it the same every time. I've had a machine like that. It was magical. And if yours has that feature and you haven't taken the time to kind of figure it out, I would certainly recommend you do, because I think it'll be easier to figure out than you realize, and you have nothing to lose and everything to gain, because you're going to love the button and buttonhole process once you do that. You can put one on the pocket too. Yay. Oh, good. I'm glad, Beverly. I just kind of do what's logical for what works with my machine. One time I showed on Instagram a long time ago me sewing a button on my garment with my machine, because I cheat like that sometimes. And I got so many great comments on that with other people with tips on doing that I tried a few of them out and none of them worked for me. And I was really disappointed because people were really like, this worked really great. One of them freaked me out because I was like, God, that's genius, but it freaked me out to do it. And it was, she removes the foot of the machine. Stop it, Megan. And so she removes the foot of the machine because when you sew on a button on your machine, if you don't have like an attachment that allows you to do that, it is a little bit dicey, right? You're holding your button right there, right? And your machine wants nothing more than to slip off that button and put your fingers a little too close to the needle. There are feet made, and it looks like kind of like two stubby prongs, and it can hold your button down. And then there's space for your machine to zigzag for the buttonholes, right? But she was right, like because you have your stitch length set to 0, unless there's like a button setting on your machine. If you have the stitch length to 0, your machine's not moving. You actually don't need your presser foot, because as long as it's down, it's in the down position, your machine's going to engage the tension. Oh yeah, that's true, Beverly. Yeah, so I tried it, and honestly, I did not feel, it didn't feel like it helped me very much. And maybe it was just because they had done it so much, it was like they had gotten the knack of it and it worked well for them. Because you know how there's those little like tricks that we get really good at. And that there was a couple of other tricks too. So one of the ones I sometimes try is I try and make like a little like a little wall with pins, so that my button I can press up against the wall with the button, you know. But that doesn't work as good as I want it to. I just saw something in the corner of my eye. I thought it was crawling up my arm, and it was this little tie. I was like, I'm not even afraid of things like that, but I was like, oh. So, yeah, I feel like that's the one thing. But when I will say as a disclaimer, when I sew my buttons on with my machine, I will leave long tails. And then I do the fussy thing of pulling the tails to the backside and hand tying them. So it doesn't really, in the long run, save me that much time. It just feels good. So, and if you have a long enough tail in the back that you can kind of pull, and it'll pull your top tail to the back. And the reason I do that is because otherwise, when you're sewing your button on with the machine and you just clip the threads, you have these two little cut threads. There's no way you can get down into the hole of the button to trim the thread, you know? So it's better just to, you can thread your needle with the tails, pull them to the back side, and then hand tie them. So that's what I do. So. Yeah, I feel like I could do a button and buttonhole tutorial, and I've done it before, but I honestly, Beverly, never really considered myself to be that great at it. Like, I just do it my own way. And there's people that have really spent a lot of time perfecting how they put buttons and buttonholes on, and also all machines are a little different. You know what's really bugging me right now is how narrow my trim is here compared to there. Learn from me, boys and girls. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I can't wait to try it on. So, yay! Love it when you pre-wash fabric, you can just wear your clothes. I love that it looks like a baseball jersey, like an old school baseball jersey. All right, well, I think that wraps it up. We've sewed the whole top and even placed our buttons and buttonholes. Now I'm going to go do that. Thanks, Beverly. That's like half the battle. And on Saturday, we're going to be sewing the Elm t-shirt and the Willow Pinafore, which are both sponsored by Hearts Fabric. And I'm also going to have a little like graphic of all the little things we might be sewing the first week in December, when we're going to do a big like 5 days. Yes, it's sandwich time. 5 days of gift sewing. Oh my gosh, you guys, 5 days of streaming. I'm not going to get anything else done. I love that. I loved the month of August when I did that for the year anniversary, when I streamed every day. It was so fun. But yeah, I can't get anything else done. So it'll be casual, and I hope you guys join in on some of them. And I'm going to do a little graphic of all the little things so you guys can get a visual. I'm going to make patterns for a lot of it, quick and dirty patterns that'll work, but they're not going to be like fully edited and illustrated. I'm going to make some of them for free for Patreon subscribers, and then a couple of them just for everybody. All right? You can't wait for it? Yay! I'm glad. Me too. I might get some fabrics and actually intentionally sew some of these as gifts. So I'm going to need your advice on a couple of them, because I don't know how many of you want to buy patterns like the Stow Bag from Grain Line or the Dop Kit. So we need to talk about that, because that'll kind of shape it. Because I don't want to do something that you guys are like, Well, you know, Karen, no one really seemed interested in that, so it is off the list at this time. But we can talk about it on Saturday. It's a pretty easy pattern, and it's fun to sew. It's really handy, too. Like, when you are carrying a lot of stuff in someone's house, it's nice that your dish can just hang from your arm, you know? I think it's going to be fun, too. Yeah, so I was already drawing some little things, and I actually am already thinking about the oven mitt pattern, because I want a good one. I'm going to try it. I'm actually probably going to draft it today and try it and see if it works. And then that way I'll show it to you on Saturday. You guys who want the coffee cup cozy, you basically just want like a wrap for a cup, right? Right. Yeah. Yeah, the casserole thing it's really handy. It's like one of those things, like when you have it, you're like, oh, when you remember to use it, it's great. I have a really nice big basket, like literally almost like Yogi Bear picnic basket, and it has like a removable shelf so I can put 2 pies. I used to be really big into baking. It's one of the things I'm actually pretty good at. And I could carry 2 pies in this basket, and my handle kind of broke. It's kind of a bummer. I would just carry the basket. So I don't have any double-decker casserole carriers for you guys, but the one I had works pretty good. And then I'm going to do the cupcake and pie pincushion so she can top it. Okay. I looked at the one you sent me, Karen, of the oven mitts and things, but you have to like buy all her patterns, and then but she has that really interesting fabric. So I can't remember what it was. She has like a system, doesn't she? So I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to direct people to buying patterns. I would love to support folks, but I want to link you guys to things you're actually going to do. You ruined a peach cobbler. I love peaches. Dang, that sounds so good right now. It's sandwich time for sure, I can tell. All right, thanks you guys for coming. Thanks for putting up with my whole quest for dream jammies. And I'm going to hopefully sew my other set really soon. So I have 2 sets of... I even cleaned out my jammy drawer and made room for my new jammies. Because I've had some for like... Since Cricket was a toddler. Like, I am all about saving your clothes and using them, repairing them, and wear. But some of them just like... These are just like... I shouldn't walk around the house in them. I need to get rid of them. So... Awesome. Good. Well, I hope it was useful for you guys. All right, so I'll see you Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific, and thanks so much for coming, and my name is Sarah, and I'll also have the December calendar. I hope you guys are still working on those basic blocks, or it's in the back of your head, because we are going to be addressing those in like, not next week, not the next week, but the next week. It's coming up, okay? So keep on it. You got this. You saw how little time it took me. I actually have to do my own too, so. All right. Bye, guys. I'll see you guys on Saturday, and have a great rest of your day. See ya. Bye.